why a ground lease? So from the public sector perspective, I think there are three key reasons that the public sector likes to structure a transaction in terms of a real estate transaction in terms of using a ground lease. One is that it provides a mechanism where the public sector can remain involved and have oversight over both the development side of a project as well as the operational phase of the project. Because oftentimes these ground leases involve relationships that are going to go on upwards of 50, 75, even 99 years. And so a ground lease provides a mechanism where the public sector can be involved up front as the construction of a project is being undertaken, as well as later on as the project is operated according to the use that's agreed upon. In addition, oftentimes the piece of property that's being offered by the public sector is something that's been either underutilized or needs to be redeveloped in some sort of way. And so what the ground lease does is provide the public sector with an opportunity to realize economic value once that property is improved. Because at the time where the initial disposition occurs, that property is likely to be heavily undervalued. And so by having a ground lease where the public sector can ultimately participate in the upside provides yet another basis for a use of a ground lease. And thirdly, what a ground lease does, because the public sector can include some prescriptive use provisions in the lease, it allows for the public sector to ensure that the particular objectives that it may be seeking to achieve, are in fact achieved. So, for example, if there's a particular interest in developing a waterfront property for a particular maritime use, the public sector can include that in the terms of the ground lease and can help ensure that that use is actually carried out. Now, from the private sector, while it may seem that a ground lease is cumbersome and depresses the value of the property and creates limitations for the private sector, there are actually reasons why it's beneficial to the private sector as well. In particular, it provides an opportunity for the private sector to have the property disposition occur and for it to acquire the property without a significant upfront land cost. So that's the first. The second is that it's often used throughout the country as a means to provide tax benefits to redevelopment projects, whether that be real estate tax benefits, sales tax benefits, or some sort of tax-exempt financing. That provides yet another reason to use a ground lease. And finally, when negotiated appropriately, it does provide a flexible structure where, as the project moves from the construction phase to the operational phase, it provides an opportunity for the private sector's participation to change over time and should allow it to undertake transfers and changes in use depending on market conditions. And so, ultimately, I think the key here and one of the key lessons that I hope is conveyed through this presentation is that, by using the negotiating process in terms of a ground lease, which can be a complex and long process, but by using that process to align the interests of the parties, the ground lease really provides an opportunity to optimally allocate risks and benefits between the parties and can really lead to transformative economic development projects.